A pretext is a purpose or a motive alleged or an appearance assumed in order to cloak the real intention or state of affairs.
Initial access. OMI is trying to get into your network.
Listen, this is your manager, and I'm trying to send off an email. I got this document. Need you to confirm a few details. So go ahead and log in and tell me what you think. I need this now, so to make this convenient, here is the link. I'm a threat actor, fishing mark for email. It's urgent to distract you with it. So how fast you clicked it when you submitted the form with your password in it. You probably couldn't tell there was an actual difference in the URL. The domains look alike though. And to you it looks fine though, but mine had typos and make it look like yours. See, I was in the mood today to make your account a communal space, but then you activated your trap card, and I saw you had 2FA. But I just shrugged, I'ma shake it off. Got on kid gloves, I'ma take them off. Got your phone number, I'ma make a call. I'ma break this wall, it just makes me lol. I'm moving quick, I'm on a mission. Yeah, I heard your network is lit. I'm trying to get in. Yeah, I'm trying to get me a hit. When I go fishing. Yeah, you probably think it's legit. I got you clicking. Yeah. Hello. Hi. I'm calling you from the IT department. We have been under attack by some hackers, and we think that your account might be a target.
Oh no, how do I fix this?
No need to worry, I wrote up a ticket. You'll get a notification from your authenticator app, so please pass me them digits.
1 sec.
Okay.
Yeah. The code is 112345.
Thank you. You fell for the lie, so I hung up the phone without saying goodbye. Cutting it short like a crew cut. Probably think it won't happen to you, but it happened to Uber. They say you win some, you lose some. Boys got a smooth touch hacking you too, bruh. You know how I be creeping and I'm logging in your VPN. It probably looks anomalous. Some logs if you be keeping them. And probably unaware about the shares that have been peeping. And the reason I'll be seeking them, I'm looking for an easy win. You probably thought it was a magic trick, and you're mad you clicked. I'ma stack my chips and bet that a DA password is sitting in an admin script. I'm moving quick, I'm on a mission. Yeah, I heard your network is lit. I'm trying to get in. Yeah, I'm trying to get me a hit. When I go fishing. Yeah, you probably think it's legit. I got you clicking. I'm moving quick, I'm on a mission. Yeah, I heard your network is lit. I'm trying to get in. Yeah, I'm trying to get me a hit. When I go fishing. Yeah, you probably think it's legit. I got you clicking.
Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Attacking and Defending AI Systems in Azure. So my name is David Akiode, and we're glad to have you here with us today. And I have with me my co-hosts. So it's Mr. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. So here again, my name is Oluwakori Damola, and it's a pleasure to have everyone here. David, how was your week?
Yeah, man, week. It's been a tech week for me. A tech week for me, meaning, tech stuff, which means we've got stuff to deal with, we've got stuff to complete, we've got deadlines and all the other stuff.
I can imagine.
Yeah, how about for you? Like anything, any interesting thing that like came up this week for you when it comes to AI?
Yeah, so it's been a quite a wonderful week. As of yesterday, I got some, update about Gwen 3.5, like
Nice.
one of the largest open source LLM. Well, yeah, we provide 3 point, I think about 375 billion data sets or so. So
Yeah.
I was actually going to try it out. I was trying to see if Olama has it updated in part of the open source LLMs that they support. But apparently it's not yet there on Olama.
Oh, really?
I'm
Oh, I'm
hopeful that-
surprised.
Yeah.
So if it's not there, there is another like popular CLI that people use. If it's on Hugging Face, so Hugging Face themselves, they have like Hugging Face CLI. So sometimes I just use the Hugging Face CLI and just download the models. Yeah. So if they're not available on Olama, I just use my Hugging Face CLI, authenticate, and just download it that way. Sometimes.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try that also.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, so we do have like a special guest. We have, as somebody says like, when you experience something that's really good, you can't just have it once. You've got to have it again. So Sir Byron was with us a few weeks ago, and the session was really, really good. We had to bring Sir Byron back, and we're glad to have him here with us again, all the way from Philadelphia. Hello, Mr. Byron, how are you doing, sir?
Gentlemen, how are you doing? How are the both of you doing?
Yeah, very well, sir. How are you too?
All right, great. I'm glad to be back. I'm thankful that you have me back. This is the second time, and what I like to do is build a little bit on the first visit and also start to prep, let's say, to both of you as well as the audience about what I'm working on, that I like to share the journey along the way and then eventually post it maybe within the group, or somehow someone can take advantage of the learning lessons, the architecture plan, approach, just everything in order to do a better job with securing AI systems.
Yep. No, I'm really looking forward to that. And just for the audience that may not know, for the audience that may not know, like Mr. Byron taught me everything I know about architecture, just so you know. So he understands what he's saying whenever he talks architecture and design. He's been in this for a very long time. And every time he's speaking, I have my pen out because I'm taking notes. So I'm looking forward to it. So what do you think, Mr. Oluwakede?
Definitely. Last time was such an explosive time. So I imagine that this time is even going to be better. So I'm all in. I really want to learn today. Yeah.
All right, really appreciate it. Okay, so with that being said, what I want to do is start sharing my screen just to start level setting with everything. So let's do this here, slideshow from the beginning. And let me share my screen. Okay. So can both of you do me a favor and confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
All right.
So, yeah, I can see that now. Yes.
All right. Yes. So you see the AI-powered application development solution, correct?
Yes. All right.
Great. So let me start from here. So the topic and the approach for this one session is about an AI-powered application development solution. Basically, I'm working on a project that is, the layperson will look at it such as, oh, you're creating AI agents that's capable of generating code for application development. What I want to do is just look at it from a different perspective. So that way the architecture can be built based upon expectations, objectives, things are ready for a certain maturity level without it just being kind of like a hobby. So again, today's talk is about an AI-powered application development solution. And I'll put down here in this fine print, AI system secure software development for the enterprise. Very key term here, which is the enterprise. Everything we're going to discuss, we're going to keep in mind, this is going to be used in the enterprise. So depending upon your enterprise, your industry, things of that nature, we want to discuss what it means to create this type of solution and make it ready for the enterprise. All right. So I'm doing bare bones presentations of late because I've been chucking them all over the place and people reformat it. But the agenda today is we're going to start off with defining what are AI-powered or assisted solutions. I want us to define that so it can start to drive what we're going to either develop, plan, architect, things like that. Enterprise ready, I'll put a question mark because at times Based upon experience, I've seen organizations adopt solutions that were, when you look at it, it was not ready for the enterprise. Either the solution was not mature enough, or it was brought on more from an impulsive perspective. We have a problem. We did a quick Google search. We found this tool. We're going to deploy it, but still not enterprise ready. When we talk about enterprise ready, we're going to look at things such as compliance, monitoring, deployment, users, in order to say whether the solution is ready for the enterprise or not. Then I want to talk about the AI-powered, AI assistant code development solution that I'm working on along the lines of the solution development process. I like to state the intent of this particular solution. Typically, and this comes from experience, at times I ask people, if I'm working for an organization, let's say I'm meeting with the HR team, maybe a finance team or a legal team, but people who are not technical like we are. At times when we ask them, sure, you want a solution? Tell me what's your outcomes. What are some of your deliverables? What you may find is people to start talking immediately, word vomit. I want the solution to look like this. Can I have it in pink? Can I have it in green? Oh, what happened if someone does that? It's not really stating the intent. Let's talk about this solution development process and breaking down into key areas such as, why are we even doing this type of solution? What's the intent of it? How will it meet objectives? Did we clearly state the objectives? Has the objectives been clearly stated and communicated to us? What are the requirements? And with our requirements and the outputs, will it meet those objectives? And then start to go through the development lifecycle. There are different frameworks we're familiar with, such as the software development lifecycle. I like to speak more about the secure software development lifecycle, and then finally managing the solution. All right, so AI-powered solutions. Sorry about this. I like to ask people, what is AI-powered AI assistant, or what do people mean by like AI? So why use AI for a solution? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is that at times I'm seeing either vendors or organizations want to take an existing solution, which is kind of working well, and they want to sprinkle it with AI because it's the hot buzzword. It's like we have a backup solution. Great. Does it work? Yes. What kind of backup? Grandfather, father, son rotation. Does incremental, differential, snapshots, cloud ready, and all that. Great. Now we want to use AI with it. Why? Just a simple question. Why? What's the value of adding AI to a solution that's functioning as expected and delivering the results we need? So why use AI? In my opinion, and this is where I look at the use of AI, you need to define AI. And this is where you have a large language model that's capable of doing things like reasoning, deduction, contextualization. If you have a solution that's more binary, information meets this, then do that. If it comes in like this, then do that. And if it's binary, you can use structured programming. But AI allows you to start to take in the information from multiple sources, put it together, and start to look at things along the lines of like shades of gray. So if you're using AI, it's for distinct components of your application stack where these are just shades of gray area. And walking through the solution, you understand why I'm using AI for code development versus just saying, or I should say application development versus code development. All right. Have you defined the meaning and purpose of AI? Should be stated whether within the development team, security team as the organization, but define the meaning and purpose of AI. What is it going to do? Goes back to the intent thing when it comes to the solution. What are AI-powered assisted solutions? Again, this is where the gray area comes in. And in this case, we're going to look at not just using AI agents to deliver code artifact, something in Python or Bicep or Terraform. But how it's being done is going to align with what we need as an organization. What forms of AI will you utilize with your solution? I put this down specifically because, again, from experience working with organizations, I'm seeing organizations quickly become disappointed with the outcome of an AI project. When I look at the outcomes, it starts off with, my question is, why did they even use AI to begin with? Did they truly understand what AI meant? And what are some of their solutions? So in this case, with what forms of AI will you utilize with your solution? Especially since this is an Azure-centric talk, one of the things that you're looking into when you're using Azure-based AI solutions, yes, you can use a large language model from an OpenAI, use the chat interface, do things like that. But there are more structured and focused forms of AI, such as document intelligence. This is an AI solution that goes into a set of documents, crack them open, extract information, create metadata about it so it can be indexed and searched. That's a form of AI that allows you to take unstructured objects, PDF files, Word documents, PowerPoint, whatever, spread all over the place. Now, document knowledge or knowledge mining allows you to go use document intelligence services, open up these documents, extract information. Now you can use an AI agent to say, based upon all this ingestion of using this solution to look at documents, make sense of it. What's the oldest file? What's the youngest file? What files have A, B, and C aspects or attributes to them? Are some of them for the organization or were these personal? Do they have certain attributes connected with it in the form of tags? You can use an AI agent to query a search index versus using that agent to do absolutely everything, which is a shortcut to disappointment. So what forms of AI will you utilize with the solution takes careful consideration of understanding what's the intent of this solution to begin with. Once you understand the intent, you start to outline objectives of what is it we have to meet with this solution. What are my requirements in order to engineer, configure, select in order to deliver on good with these objectives? And what forms of AI? Not everything needs to be an AI agent or a large language model. It can be an AI service that you access via the API. All right. How will AI improve or enhance the solution? I'm seeing cases of AI just making a solution look even crazier than it did before. Now you just have a chat interface. I didn't like the solution now. Now I absolutely hate it because AI just highlights the fact that the document is kludgy. It's not kept up to date. Now I have to use another interface with my fingers crossed that it makes sense of a poorly designed website or series of things like that. I look at, can you improve upon an application or a service with AI? And if so, can it be measured? And that's the key thing. Can it be measured? If the improvement cannot be measured, is it really an improvement? Or should I say, is it an objectively based approach to measuring the improvement, or is it subjective? I like it because it has AI, and that's all that matters. That's subjective. Adding AI, if you can say it cut down on call times, let's say a customer-facing AI agent for your basic ingesting of data, name, phone number, things like that. If it can be measured in the form of, before it took us 10 minutes to do this type of call, using this AI solution, now it takes us 3 minutes. These are measurable results. Okay, and then which architectures lend themselves to successfully delivering AI-powered solutions? This is where I give major kudos to organizations like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft or Google, where they have a center of excellence when it comes to architecture. You have your well architected frameworks and your cloud best practices. And now they have expanded that to say if you're using AI in these types and forms, which again, what form of AI will you utilize? Here are architectures that you can now just download, tweak, deploy, and test in order to have a running start to delivering a solution that's ready for the enterprise. Okay, David, any questions, any thoughts or feedback so far?
Sorry. So no question at the moment. So just to remind the audience, if you have any question, please do ask them. I will be happy to share them with them. So what my own comments like so far is what you're just saying just resonates very, very, very well as always. So what you were saying about whether something is enterprise ready or not, because sometimes we don't actually like pause to even ask the question in terms of, okay, could this bring a risk to the enterprise? In terms of, we adopt and start using this solution. We just go, let's just adopt it and start using it immediately, and let's just move as quickly as possible. Yeah.
Yes, and it brings up something, and maybe it's with the next slide. Okay, define enterprise ready. Now I'll talk about it here. So enterprise ready means that you have a solution that adheres to corporate standards, such as it needs to be secure. We're using single sign-on to help with IAM and a scope of permissions that people can use with this application. Single sign-on is one. Also, are you doing encryption in flight or protecting data in flight or data at rest? Is it going to be exposed to private information? Something like saying the NIST 800 171 series, which is about controlled unclassified information. So when you look at something that says is ready for your environment, look at it along the lines of, is it enterprise ready? Is it scalable? Can I monitor it? Can it be integrated into our visibility tools like ServiceNow as well as Ascend? If I add more users, will it buckle underneath of it, or will it scale accordingly? What's the cost impact? So defining enterprise ready starts to look at the maturity of your organization. What are clearly defined frameworks or objectives when it comes to consuming the solution, because it has to deliver results. So is the proposed solution enterprise ready? This is again where a solution architect will sit down and look at key components. And again, if you visit Azure's website and start to look at their well-architected framework, a lot of those are geared towards enterprise readiness with consuming the public cloud. This is where you start to look at, again, things like scalability, security, compliance, monitoring, elasticity, cost controls, all these types of things that matter to an organization. Whereas if I'm doing a pet project, I may skip over so many things just to get to the final state. Whereas if I was to do this in an organization, I'm undermining the organization versus helping them or supporting them with best efforts. Okay, now what are your sources to consider a solution as being enterprise ready? It seems like peer reviews have become somewhat of a lost art. It's not too often that I see proactive and mandated practices such as peer reviews, meaning I'll create a solution, I'll give it to a person like David for a peer review. Do we have a way of having objective criteria to say when we evaluate each other's work, we're going to follow this formula, this framework, in order to give feedback to the creator of the solution? So what are your sources to consider a solution as being enterprise ready? Starts off with understanding the architecture. As a solution architect, you come up with architecture that you know is supposed to be productive, scalable, things of that nature. You may have to include other teams such as the legal team, app development team, security team, governance, risk, and compliance team. Different teams in order to say this application is going to have an impact upon the users, maybe increase productivity or addressing a use case such as like a legal use case within the enterprise or HR use case. But your sources, basically I'm hinting at do not design a solution in a vacuum. Solicit information because this information may add to a constraint that you have to consider as part of your architecture solution. For example, if a solution is not supposed to touch, let's say, patient data if you're in the healthcare industry, and things are not constructed right, and let's say you create an agent that is constantly exposing or reading poorly secured data. This is not enterprise ready. And this is where you start to work with teams like data governance and data security because this agent can see things it's not supposed to see. All right. So my use case, I didn't finish this up. Okay. So my use case, as a matter of fact, let me show this in another way, which would be a lot better. So I'm creating this solution, an AI-powered application development. Again, the intent, develop an AI system application development solution that meets enterprise objectives, enterprise ready. Some of my objectives are include a human in the loop. I want to guide the solution to a destination. I just don't want to joyride. So the human in the loop includes me of making sure that the outputs measure and map against the objectives that I want to meet. As part of the solution, I'm creating a knowledge base to document standards, best practices, and improvements for our application development. Gives it all of that. Let me cut to here so you can understand more of the details before I can tell you about this. The AI-powered application development, as you can see here, is a multi-agent solution. And the way I configure it, the way I envision the usage of it is that you're only going to deal with one agent. I don't believe in management by swivel chair, such as there's a management portal for every tool. It just undermines your own productivity. To have a multi-agent solution that forces the user to remember each individual agent and the focus of each agent is not fair to the user. Again, I'm looking at whenever I'm creating a solution, especially technical solutions, I keep in mind that this needs to be easily consumed by non-technical folks. They should not have to revisit school just to use my solution. If it's too complex, it's on me. So the multi-agent solution actually allows me to take care of that one intent, which is to create an application development solution, not just an AI coding agent. I want a solution, and the solution is to assist me with application development. And so far, I came up with 4. My first agent is an orchestra agent. There are a large language model or model on Azure AI Foundry called a model router, where it's based upon your request, it's supposed to route the request to the right agent in order to deliver results. And what this also does, it frees up that primary interfacing agent not to have the spinning circles, bubbles, and like I'm thinking, I'm processing. That's for another agent. The main agent is just going to keep talking while monitoring what's happening on the back end. So the orchestra agent is going to be the point of contact. The code development agent is going to act like an actual developer. I wanted to do things such as understand best practices. Do we have it documented? Yes. This is one of the requirements for the resource, which is a knowledge base. As you can see here, I'll put down the code review agent and the approver agent will interact with each other via the knowledge base. The code development agent, if I look at it from a persona-based perspective, is going to use languages such as Python, SQL, Terraform, and Bicep because of the Azure environment. If I can use less languages, is better for me from a security perspective as well as an efficiency perspective. But the code development agent is basically going to have an architecture of short-term memory, long-term memory, and maybe assign not a generic LLM such as ChatGPT 5.2, whatever. I may look for LLM that's more designed for code development, just for that code development agent. So the code development agent will have short-term memory. This allows it to refer to a knowledge base to make sure it has the latest information it needs to know about proper security practices as per coding from an industry perspective or from the enterprise. Here is our standard. This is how we expect you to do things. Also, it has to include certain things as well, such as tagging best practices. So the code development agent is not just going to be an agent with a tool that can spit out code. It has to have a configuration first, which will allow me to talk about spec-driven development in a second. Your code review agent or code review and approver agent is basically the senior developer to this developer. This development agent can create the code, but cannot literally put it on GitHub repo. It's going to be based upon the approver agent. That approver agent is going to look at the code output from the first agent, apply its own more stringent approach to assessing code. I may put in there an algorithm on saying the code output from the code development agent, can the same thing be achieved with 30% less coding lines? If so, validate, test and validate if so, and then update the knowledge base article in order to inform of the code development agent. Here's a more streamlined way to achieve the same outcome. This agent will then push it onto GitHub repo, which me as a human, all right, great, you uploaded it. Now we got SAS testing against it, DAS testing, software composition, all that we can use through Azure DevOps or GitHub Enterprise, the advanced security services. But now this agent is going through a bunch of checks and balances before it goes to the code repo. Before it's a pull request, is it properly documented everything that's supposed to happen, whereas me, the human in the loop, can now look at the outputs. Yes, this aligns with corporate objectives. The pull request, the note section that has certain information, may even have links to tasks or things like that on a Azure platform. And then the documentation agent, definitely needed because at times I just forget to document the stuff I'm doing. I don't have the time. So the documentation agent will allow me to create, let's see, do I have it listed here? Yes. So the documentation agent will create documents for wiki and code repos. It will use PowerPoint, Word, and Visio, and also provide these types of designs, a technical design, a functional design, a logical design. While I was thinking about this agent doing everything, I was like, how about a cost impact analysis design? What will this solution cost us? High and low level designs for the developed application. And when it comes to the agent tools, I want to use MCP servers to make sure that the solution can rationalize and select and call the tools. and use the proper syntax in order to receive the right results. My focus as well on top of having MCP servers versus trying to apply an API key directly to an agent, it allows me to have separation of security. My ultimate goal is that depending upon the MCP server, not all agents are able to connect to them. For example, my code development agent will use an MCP server that's only for code development and for certain languages. If the document agent tries to call the MCP server that does code development, that should technically be declined as far as the connection. The document agent doesn't need to call code, it needs to document info. That information can be done a certain way versus using the code. It can use the stored and after approval code from the approver code to do the documentation. Long story short, I want to have separation of the agents versus the tools. The tools are managed by MCP servers. We're using things like Microsoft API management to actually do RBAC controls and other security things in just to make sure it's safeguarded. Jesus, plenty of time went past already, David. You know how we get with these calls.
Yep, and it's going very, very well. It's going very, very well also.
So let me show you some of the prompts execution, right? All right, so this was my first stab at doing this. I was doing this on, I would say Microsoft M365 versus Copilot are two different beasts. If you have M365 and you don't have a certain subscription, you can easily just run into your token wall and you have to upgrade your subscription. Copilot on the web, it's no telling if it's going to crap out on you or not. So I was just working on this. Now, what I would like to add in here is that something like this, I like to use a platform again. I'll just put it here. If you visit that, what DSPY.ai is open source Python framework for AI programming or prompt programming versus prompt engineering. This is an example of prompt engineering where I'm using natural language syntax to achieve a certain objective. Prompt programming is what this framework would do. What it would do is say, start off with the end result. What is it that you want to achieve? Do you have an optimizer? Do you have, I think it's called a signature. But if you visit this, there are tutorials on basically how to have the framework rewrite these prompts in order to have better outcomes. So based upon what I'm doing so far, I may have to recreate this prompt 10, 15 more times before I'm near anything that resembles a solution. How do I make sure that one syntax or one word order doesn't affect the output? So DSPY.ai is a Python framework to help deal with certain things such as re-engineering your prompt and do it from a programmatic perspective. So this is what I was doing first. And just to walk you through it, okay. So based upon the prompt that I just shared in OneNote, this is what I was doing. I want to create an application development application, should say solution now, with a knowledge base. 4 agents will be required. I'm talking about the first agent being the orchestration agent and be the primary point of contact for a user. Again, I don't want a person to say, what agent do I have to ask for this? Just talk to one agent. That's where AI should really shine, because you have a chance of, I need this. You have access to all these other agents. You integrate into my ecosystem. Help me achieve these goals. So the first agent, orchestration, then there's the coding agent, and what I'm slightly putting in together. The review agent will review the code output, a knowledge base will be shared, and then a documentation agent will do A, B, and C. So it's starting to go through everything. Target solution, what you're building, roles and responsibilities. Primary user experience. Orchestration agent, single point of contact for the user, breaks work into tasks, calls the other agents, blah, blah, blah. Coding agent, review agent, reviews coding agent output, produces actionable recommendation, optionally applies fixes, updates that knowledge base, adds new guidance, and prepare a PR to a GitHub enterprise repo, creates the branch, commits, blah, blah, blah. And then the documentation agent. The reference architecture, here are some of the core services. And again, this is where sitting down with multiple people may help realize this AI solution is more than just an agent. Hence, I was looking at application development solution or AI powered AI assistant application development solution because it requires much more than just an AI agent. Okay, so some of this other stuff that is listed here, I want to share where I received this from, which was pretty cool. Okay. So one of the things that I've learned of late, just to come here, was about spec-driven development, and there's a GitHub site to help with this. So the largest spec-driven development framework is provided by GitHub. I just put in a quick query about it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up was because it starts off with the structure, making sure you have a strong foundation. This is where you're setting yourself up to be successful with your development efforts using AI as your assistant. So the spec-driven development allows you to do things such as defining the what and the why of a project. Hence me asking, what's the intent of this application? What are the objectives? Now, what I really dug about learning more about spec-driven development is that I was doing research earlier this week, and the question was, what's the difference between prompt engineering and context engineering? Prompt engineering was what I just showed you. Create these 4 agents, do this and that. Context engineering will consider what my prompt is about, but also take into consideration you need to understand knowledge sources. Are there constraints? What objectives? What are other things that are needed for this agent to be successful? And this is where spec-driven development started to make much more sense to me, because we often hear about when you develop an agent, you want to give it a personality, act as a professional customer greeter or things like that. Sound professional, do this, do that, always ask follow-up questions. This type of framework allows you to define the exact role for this particular agent and what it should be doing. So spec-driven development will help with understanding the creation, not only your AI solution, but your other solutions as well. This will really help with AI development because it's telling you certain things that can help you with it. This is their site on GitHub, the spec kit. Build high quality software faster, and then it just goes into information here about what is spec-driven development. Flip the script on traditional software development, right? It tells you how to go about it. Test-driven development goes hand in hand with spec-driven development, because as you created a spec-driven design for different tasks or multiple tasks, for each task, you want to have some type of test to make sure is being done correctly. I did a quick search on Wikipedia. You can look up test-driven development. Has an image about what you're going to do as far as like code-driven testing, refactoring. You write the test for a particular task, look at the result. If it fails, you do enough change to make sure the test pass, and then you start to go through refactoring, and then you iterate it. This is where agents can help with saying, okay, by doing all of this, in the future, here's a knowledge base to avoid this that the agent would now follow to make sure tasks are more cleaner and tests fail less frequently. All right, let's see. Spec AI. Oh, this is Spec Kit again. I wanted to go here because they have stuff about the AI agents and what's supported with it. GitHub Copilot is something I'm going to check out. Codex CLI, that's because it's something that I'm researching, but there's more information here about using spec-driven design and development. All right, and let me just go back to here. So the solution development process, again, let me do this from this slide. State the intent of the solution. Problem statement. Can you write a problem statement? Yeah. Our development efforts take months instead of days and weeks. We want to use Azure DevOps. We also want to use AI to lower the amount of time we spend on our initial proof of value or proof of concept or minimal viable product, blah, blah, blah. Or here's the value proposition behind the solution. Then state the objectives. In order to meet this solution or make sure we deliver it on this value proposition, we have to do this: ease of use, ease of onboarding, consistency when it comes to discovery of resources, contextualization, stuff like that. What are the requirements? Okay, the requirements to meet this objective will be Azure AI services or AI search thing, and you start to break it down. What's the scope of the development process? People, process, technology. So what's the scope of what you're using? And then what resources will assist with developing a solution that functions as expected? Again, Spec Kit, I'm still researching this, but watching this one video on YouTube, it made perfect sense. I can now say, here are the specs which align to corporate objectives, things that we need to do in the enterprise. All the agents should do this at a minimum before I say this agent differs from this other agent. Let's see. And then this was one of the initial images created by Copilot. So here's the user development. ACA stands for Azure Container
Apps.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Azure Container App, ACA. So anything that starts with ACA will kind of let you know if it's an agent versus MCP. So in a long story short, this is going to be the single point of contact portal access that this user should have. And this one orchestrator should communicate with the coding agent for status or updates, anything about the review agent, as well as the docs agent. As you can see here for the knowledge base, it's a combination of Azure AI Search and Storage Blob. I'm working with the corporate version of M365 Copilot, and based upon, again, the prompt I put in at that time, it recommended the use of Cosmos DB for short-term and long-term memory. Whereas there's different reasons to use maybe Redis Cache for long-term memory versus something else. All right, so again, one portal, your orchestrator agent should be able to communicate with all these other agents. It looks complex, but the functionality should be simple. Only want to talk to one agent. That's it. For security purposes, and this is where looking into what will make the solution enterprise ready. When it comes to secrets management, you can use Azure Key Vault. For monitoring, logistics, audit trails, this is where we get into app insights, log analytics, basically a platform that provides us with the necessary visibility. So this is, I put there alpha_0 is the first image. I'm like, look okay so far. I want to look at some other things because the MCP tools, I may not even want the orchestrator to communicate with them. The orchestrator has nothing to do with tools. It's just giving me updates and organizing activities and handing out tasks. It's not going to perform any functions. The coding agent should have access to certain things that help with developing code. The review agent is going to do a few things and then post it through a pull request or whatever on GitHub or Azure DevOps. So this is again alpha, whereas doesn't exactly align with a more secure communication approach, but it does list a lot of the resources that I'd like to have for this AI powered application development solution. Man, I love talking with you guys.
Yeah, no, that was really good. No, thanks very much for that. So that was really good. That was really useful. So I only have like one question because I'm looking at the time also. So like the main question that I have, it's a common question that we get with all this stuff. So when it comes to like architecting like AI solutions, with the whole like ecosystem and the whole environment changing very quickly, like is there any specific aspect that someone that's really interested in understanding this a little bit more where they should be focusing their efforts with the understanding that everything is changing like very quickly and new protocols can be released that changes how we architect or design things and all of a sudden everything has to change? Anywhere that people should be spending their efforts if they're interested in like learning more?
Ubiquitous forms of knowledge bases, meaning things, let's say, a CSA with that one document. Let me just bring it up real quick again. Let me just share my screen. But it's a situation where you look at industry standards and look at things that the industry has posted out there or put out there to help everyone, where you're not going to, hey, let me go to Google, learn about their flavor of AI. Let me look at Microsoft or AWS, their flavor of AI. You start to look at it more objectively, look at it along the lines of services. What does it mean to have a compliant agent? What are architecture best practices according to the vendor? Or even looking at the risk mitigation frameworks as proposed by NIST for AI risk mitigation. So the Cloud Security Alliance, we all look at them as a neutral body. They have something about secure agentic system design, a trait-based approach. This type of information will give you more contextualization about what should an agent do. It's staying away from specific jargon that we may hear from, let's say, Google, AWS, or Azure. An agent is an agent. An agentic solution may differ from an agent. An agentic solution can be something that I was creating where I was using Azure Search or Azure AI Search or Azure AI Knowledge, Document Knowledge. These are solutions you're creating an agentic solution with versus an LLM that's designed to interact with the person or other agents. So neutral bodies such as CSA or NIST can help with that, but also where the vendors themselves, where they are great, like Microsoft, they have architectures or recommended architectures and solution accelerators on GitHub that says if you're creating a chat bot, you want to basically chat with your own information, here's the architecture. Here's why we're recommending it to look like this. And here are the resources you need to do it. What you asked was great because the offsetting part is this. When someone doesn't review architecture and just go off of gut feel or gut instinct agent development, that agent is now configured with a bunch of tools, maybe API keys. And if it's taking on the IAM persona of the user in the enterprise, that agent may now have the ability to do untold damage, even though it was unwittingly, still can do damage because it wasn't scoped out correctly.
Well, thanks very much for that, sir. And I'll give the final question to Mr. Oluwakorede. So I may have to drop because I've got like a meeting to join, but I'll let Mr. Oluwakorede ask the final question and then we can stop for today.
Sure.
Any questions that you have? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Byron. Thank you, David. Okay, so for me, basically, I don't want to ask the question. I just feel that the whole purpose of having an AI system that helps to do all these things is to ensure that it's majorly just ensure automation and having a human in the loop actually helps to. It's more of like a guardrail to ensure that whatever the AI is going to go rogue. Like myself and Mr. David have been discussing all week. I think I shared some write-ups with you about two different people that wrote two different things about AI, how they're going to be taking over people's jobs. Another person is countering it and saying, no, the AI isn't going to be taking over people's jobs and the like. So what we can see right now is a forward-thinking process of actually streamlining this particular area to ensure that in the future, human beings are still in the loop to actually think far better than even AI, and to ensure that security is a major priority. So I think that's a very good thing. That's a very good thing. Thank you, Mr. Byron.
No problem. I look forward to returning hopefully in April, where I have a lot more of this fleshed out document as well as vetted with using posts on GitHub. Because what I'd like to do is create a video and then walk through and talk about the video as far as the outputs versus doing a live demo. All right, so next April, if you can put me down your earliest slot in April, I'd love to come back and share with everyone what the architecture ultimately look like, which version of the architecture I'm at. It could be at, well, I'm at .100 right now, still not a final solution, but it's getting there. But I would love to come back and show more because we can align into like ubiquitous frameworks versus a particular platform. And regardless of the platform, of course, we use Azure, but we can at least say this is how Azure fits our model and how we engineer Azure to deliver on the objectives or the deliverables for our overall solution.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ben, thanks very much, sir. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it. That was really, really useful. So thanks very much to the audience for joining us and also for staying with us. That was really, really useful. I hope that you found it, as useful as we did. So until next time, have a lovely rest of the day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're joining from. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone, for now.
Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye, sir.